So, good evening, everyone, and we are going to discuss a topic which is meiosis. And why are we studying meiosis? Because we have already studied mitosis, and we know that mitosis is a kind of division where the cell divides into two, and it is also called as equational division, whereas meiosis is a kind of division which happens in a cell which is generally intended to make gametes. So we can say meiosis is a kind of division which helps in formation of gametes. Also, the term meiosis was discovered by scientist Farmer and Moore. So these were the people who discovered meiosis for the first time. So it was Farmer and Moore who discovered meiosis. And meiosis is also known as reduction division. Now, why do we call it reduction division? Is because the number of chromosome is reduced to half. So why do we have meiosis? We have meiosis to generally form gametes. And why do we need meiosis for gamete formation? Because meiosis is a reduction division. That means if the parent cell is having 2n number of chromosome, after meiosis or after reduction division, we will get 4 cells, and all the 4 cells will have half the number of chromosome. That is, all of them will have n number of chromosome. So what is happening? Because of meiosis, the number of chromosome is reduced to half, n. So 2n is called as diploid, which is present in most of the somatic cell like leaf, stem, root in plants, and skin cell and hair cell. All of them will always have chromosome in pairs. So diploid. Whereas the gametes like sperm, egg, pollen grain, egg in plants will always have half the number of chromosomes, and this is called as haploid. So for the formation of gametes, meiosis is very important, and this is one process which reduces the number of chromosomes to half. Now let us understand, why do we need it? Why can't we have gametes just like we through mitosis? So let's assume that human beings have 23 pairs of chromosomes. So for formation of a new organism, sexual reproduction is done, and what happens is there are two parents. So let's say this is the male parent and this is the female parent. Now let us assume that after mitosis the gametes are formed and not meiosis. So the gametes would also have the equal number of chromosome, because we know that in mitosis the number of chromosome remains the same. So let us say that after mitosis the sperm would have 23 pairs of chromosome, and after mitosis, if we are making gametes, the egg will also have 23 pairs of chromosomes. Now, the gametes will fuse, which is called as fertilization, and as a result, a zygote is formed. Now, looking here, we can understand that the zygote will have 46 pairs of chromosome, which is not normal. Every species maintains the number of chromosome generation after generation. That means if we are having 23 pairs of chromosome, our future generations will also have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and our parents would also have 23 pairs of chromosomes. So if sperm and egg is being formed through mitosis, then every generation the number of chromosomes would increase. So this is not the case. We want some process through which the sperm and egg has only 23 and 23 chromosome, so that when the zygote is formed, we can have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and the number of chromosome in a species is constant. So let us see how we can have that. So let us see that if the male parent is having 23 pairs of chromosome and the female parent is also having 23 pairs of chromosome, and next stage is formation of gametes. So if the gametes are formed through reduction division or meiosis, the gametes will only have half the number of chromosome, which is 23. So the sperm is having 23 chromosomes if it is made through meiosis. And likewise, the egg will also have 23 chromosomes if it is made through meiosis. And now when they fuse to form a zygote, the zygote will also have 23 pairs of chromosomes like its parent. So the number of chromosomes every generation will remain constant. So what is the significance of meiosis? Why do we need meiosis? We need meiosis to maintain the constant number of chromosome in generation after generation. Like this is, let's say, the parent generation. So the parent generation is also having 23 pairs, and the next generation, let's say the F1 generation, is also having the same number of chromosomes. So this is why meiosis is so important, and we cannot have gamete formation through mitosis. Okay. When we say meiosis, meiosis is completed in 2 steps. So if I have to study meiosis, I will study it in 2 stages. One is meiosis 1 and the second one is meiosis 2. And like mitotic division, these meiosis 1 and meiosis 2 will also have 4 stages, which are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. And likewise, meiosis 2 will also have 4 stages, which are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So meiosis 1 prophase is called as prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, and telophase 1. Meiosis 2 prophase is called as prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2, and telophase 2. So the complete meiosis will happen in 2 steps, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. And each of them will have the 4 stages, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. So let us now understand that how meiosis takes place. So let us see a normal cell which is yet to undergo meiosis. So we'll see that the cell nuclear membrane is almost intact because the cell is in resting condition, interphase. It has. So this is the nuclear membrane intact. We find the centriole also at its position. And right now, what is visible is the thread-like structure inside the nucleus. This phase we can say is called as interphase because the cell is resting. Now, once they start to divide, we will first talk about meiosis 1. So in meiosis 1, the first stage is called as prophase, and meiosis 1, prophase 1 is the longest phase, which is again divided into subphases because it is a very long phase. So it is divided into next many phases. So what are the phases? There is leptotene. Next phase is zygotene. Pachytene. Or some people like to call it pachytene. Diplotene. And dikinesis. So all of these 5 stages are belonging to prophase 1. So what are we going to see? We are going to see that after interphases, what is happening with the cell. So we will talk about first leptotene. So what do we see in leptotene? We see that the nuclear membrane remains intact. So we will draw the nuclear membrane and it is intact. So nothing has happened to the nuclear membrane yet. So if there is nothing happening to the nuclear membrane, the endoplasmic reticulum and all the membrane bound organelle will remain as such. And then we see the centriole is also at its own place. So there's nothing wrong with the centriole also, it is here only. And what do we see? At leptotene, the chromatin, which was thread-like, starts to condense. And what do we see? We see that they are condensing, hence we see a beaded structure. Now these beaded structures are connected to the nuclear membrane. So it appears like a bouquet or a basket. So let us see that there are 4 chromosomes we are seeing, and this is what is visible in leptotene. Why do we see the structure like this? Is because the chromosomes have started to condense, but they have not completely condensed. So this is leptotene. Now in the next stage, what we see is, we again see the nuclear membrane still is intact. There's nothing wrong with the nuclear membrane. So the nuclear membrane is still intact, but what is important is the chromosomes have condensed and we can see 4 rod-like structures. Okay. Now these 4 rod-like structures is visible and we see that they pair up. So they have formed pairs. Now how do they pair? We know that homologous chromosome pair together. So what is a homologous chromosome? Homologous chromosomes are chromosomes that have the same genes on the same location and hence they pair up. Now if you look at it, how is the structure looking? The structure is somewhat like this. So this is one pair and this is another pair. Now, if you look at the structure, there are 2 lines. So we call it bivalent. So this stage is called as bivalent, and this is the time in zygotene when the chromosomes are pairing up. So it is very important to remember that in zygotene, what is happening? The chromosomes are pairing up. Now, if the chromosomes are just like this, nothing is holding it, it will swim here and there. So there is this complex which is called as a synaptonymal complex, which holds the 2 chromosomes together. Okay. So these 2 chromosomes are not just like that. They are held together with the help of a protein complex, which is called as synaptonymal complex. And this is called as a synapse. Okay. So in zygotene, we see that the homologous chromosomes have paired and they have formed the synapse, which is a bivalent structure. Later in the zygotene, you will see that each of the chromosome, which were like bivalent, splits into 2 arms. So now, rather than seeing 2 rod-like structures, you see 4 rod-like structures. So this is called as tetrad, you can say. So what we see in zygotene, first they were bivalent, then the bivalent is going, every chromosome is going to split into 2 arms. Hence we can see 4 rod-like structures. Okay. And when we say a chromosome has split, so these 2 arms of the same chromosome are called as sister chromatid. Okay. So because they are of the same chromosome, hence they are called as sister chromatid. So sister chromatid, these 2 can be called as sister chromatid, or even these 2 will be called as sister chromatids. Okay. So why have they split? Because we understood that in interphase, the amount of DNA was doubled. So now it splits into 2 arms, and these 2 arms are called as sister chromatids. The arm of 2 different chromosomes are called as non-sister chromatids. So these 2 would be non-sister chromatid. The blue ones that I'm representing would be non-sister chromatid, whereas the red ones I'll say are sister chromatids. Understood? So what all we have seen in zygotene? In zygotene, the centrosome remains the same, nuclear membrane is still there, but the homologous chromosomes have come and paired up, and this is called as synapse, which is done by a protein complex, which is called as a synaptonymal complex. And later, the bivalent splits into 2 arms each and forms a tetravalent structure, you can say, and every chromosome will have 2 arms. These 2 arms of the same chromosomes are called as sister chromatids, and the chromosome arms of different chromosomes are called as non-sister chromatids. Okay. So after this, we are going to study in the next class.